up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Voice of opinion and place your calling. Be yourself, see yourself. This is the show, my people. Believe our hopes are to needless reason. Nobody feel left out. Is the vibe we dealing. Let's find a solution. Yeah. No respect on selfishness and cooperation. That's how we need to build a strong nation. We are the people to make the changes. We are the changes to build. And all the things that will feel happen and not got blue skies. And nothing that people get victimized. Let's work together for better. We got to unite. Belize, yeah. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Another day is here. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. We gotta keep moving. Na. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Everybody gotta put their time in. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Voice of opinion and place your calling. Get up, make every day count. Don't waste it, people. Do your part, play around, get where you need to. Look and tune in for work or in your vehicle. If you got a problem, pick up the phone. Why wait till the time calling? It's the show with no matter even if you're at home. Just call in. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Another day is here. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. We gotta keep moving. Na. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Everybody gotta put their time in. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Voice of opinion and place your calling. Be yourself, see yourself. This is the show, my people. Believe our hopes are to needless reason. Nobody feel left out. Is the vibe we dealing. Let's find a solution. Yeah. No respect on selfishness and cooperation. That's how we need to build a strong nation. We are the people to make the changes. We are the changes to build. And all the things that will feel happen and not got blue skies. And nothing that people get victimized. Let's work together for better. We got to unite. Belize, yeah. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Another day is here. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. We gotta keep moving. Na. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Everybody gotta put their time in. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Voice of opinion and place your calling. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Another day is here. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. We gotta keep moving. Na. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Everybody gotta put their time in. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Voice of opinion and place your calling. Be yourself, see yourself. This is the show, my people. Believe our hopes are to needless reason. Nobody feel left out. Is the vibe we dealing. Let's find a solution. Yeah. No respect on selfishness and cooperation. That's how we need to build a strong nation. We are the people to make the changes. We are the changes to build. And all the things that will feel happen and not got blue skies. And nothing that people get victimized. Let's work together for better. We got to unite. Belize, yeah. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Another day is here. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. We gotta keep moving. Na. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Everybody gotta put their time in. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Voice of opinion and place your calling. Get up, make every day count. Don't waste it, people. Do your part, play around, get where you need to. Look and tune in for work or in your vehicle. If you got a problem, pick up the phone. Why wait till the time calling? It's the show with no matter even if you're at home. Just call in. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Another day is here. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. We gotta keep moving. Na. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Everybody gotta put their time in. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Voice of opinion and place your calling. Be yourself, see yourself. This is the show, my people. Believe our hopes are to needless reason. Nobody feel left out. Is the vibe we dealing. Let's find a solution. Yeah. No respect on selfishness and cooperation. That's how we need to build a strong nation. We are the people to make the changes. We are the changes to build. And all the things that will feel happen and not got blue skies. And nothing that people get victimized. Let's work together for better. We got to unite. Belize, yeah. Belize, wake up, Belize. Another day is here. Wake up, Belize, wake up, Belize. We gotta keep moving, na 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 na. Wake up, Belize, wake up, Belize. Everybody gotta put their time in. Wake up, Belize, wake up, Belize. Voice of opinion and place of calling, WB. Wake up, Belize, wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize, wake up, Belize. Another day is here. Wake up, Belize, wake up, Belize. We gotta keep moving, na 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 na. Wake up, Belize, wake up, Belize. Everybody gotta put their time in. Wake up, Belize, wake up, Belize. Voice of opinion and place of calling, WB. Be yourself, see yourself, this is the show, my people. Believe our hopes so to needless reason. Nobody feel left out, is the vibe we dealing. Let's find a solution, yeah, yeah, yeah. Love, respect, unselfishness and cooperation. That's how we need to build a strong nation. We are the people to make the changes. We are the changes, WB. And all the things that will feel happen and not got blue skies. And nothing that people get victimized. Let's work together for better, we got to unite. Belize, yeah. Wake up, Belize, wake up, Belize. Another day is here. Wake up, Belize, wake up, Belize. We gotta keep moving, na 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 na. Wake up, Belize, wake up, Belize. Everybody gotta put their time in. Wake up, Belize, wake up, Belize. Voice of opinion and place of calling, WB. Get up, make every day count up. Wasted people, do your part, play a role, get where you need to. You can tune in for work or in your vehicle. If you got a problem, pick up the phone. Why wait till the time calling? It's the show with no matter even if you're at home. Just call in, WB. Wake up, Belize, wake up, Belize. Another day is here. Wake up, Belize, wake up, Belize. We gotta keep moving, na 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 na. Wake up, Belize, wake up, Belize. Everybody gotta put their time in. Wake up, Belize, wake up, Belize. Voice of opinion and place of calling, WB. Be yourself, see yourself, this is the show, my people. Believe our hopes so to needless reason. Nobody feel left out, is the vibe we dealing. Let's find a solution, yeah, yeah, yeah. Love, respect, unselfishness and cooperation. That's how we need to build a strong nation. We are the people to make the changes. We are the changes, WB. And all the things that will feel happen and not got blue skies. And nothing that people get victimized. Let's work together for better, we got to unite. Belize, yeah. Wake up, Belize, wake up, Belize. Another day is here. Wake up, Belize, wake up, Belize. We gotta keep moving, na 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 na. Wake up, Belize, wake up, Belize. Everybody gotta put their time in. Wake up, Belize, wake up, Belize. Voice of opinion and place of calling, WB.
Say Thursday morning. It's the first Thursday actually in August of 2025. It's the 7th day of August, and we welcome you to the program this morning. I'm Nuri Muhammad, holding over the fort, and we hope that you will stay with us. We do have guests coming in, but we hope that you will stay with us for the entire show. Today we have Francisca Wellington as our forecaster this morning. So let's go to Francisca.
Morning. Generally, fair weather prevails and will support sunny skies with a few cloudy spells today and partly cloudy skies tonight. Showers or thunderstorms will be isolated except for slightly more over northern and inland areas tonight. In the outlook for Friday and Friday night, only isolated showers or thunderstorms will develop around the country. Winds today will blow from the east at 5 to 10 knots and seas will be light chop. High tides will occur at 8:11 this morning and 9:48 tonight. Low tides follow at 3:48 this afternoon and 2:34 tomorrow morning. Temperatures this afternoon will peak at 82 Fahrenheit up in the Maya Mountains, 88 along the coast and 93 inland. The moon will rise at 5:27 this evening and sunset is at 6:23. In the sargassum forecast, satellite and surface observations continue to show large amounts of sargassum over our area. As a result, coastal destinations, especially over the northern half of the country, will continue to be impacted during the next few days. In the tropical weather update at 3 o'clock this morning, Tropical Storm Dexter was about 425 miles south of Cape Race, Newfoundland. This system poses no threat to Belize. That's the latest from the Belize Weather Bureau. Do have a pleasant day.
The first private radio in Belize since 1989, Creme FM presents the news. Informative, accurate, current information, local, regional, and international news, weather and sports. And now, the news.
Now for our news broadcast. News broke in late January that a police officer, Dandre Reed, had been dismissed from the department after he fatally shot the Governor General's dog at the entrance of the Belize house in Belmopan, where the GG resides. The incident occurred in May of 2024, and in August, Reed was dismissed by the then Commissioner of Police, Chester Williams. Reed appealed the decision in September, and on Tuesday, the Belize Advisory Council, BAC, ruled in Reed's favor. In its decision, the BAC noted, quote, "There were significant breaches in due process and natural justice in the applicant's disciplinary proceedings. The applicant was denied the required 5-day response period and 7 days notice before the hearing, as mandated under the police department's disciplinary policy. These procedural failures invalidated the fairness of the procedure, rendering the dismissal decision void," end of quote. It is uncertain at this time if Reed will choose to return to the department. At the time, Reed said that he was simply acting in self-defense as the dog rushed at him. He added that he did not mean to harm the dog, but did not regret his decision. The dog in question was known to be aggressive, and this was Reed's first encounter with the dog. When news broke of his termination, many on social media sided with Reed. Williams later told media that he does not shy away from making tough decisions and denied allegations that the Governor General's, Her Excellency Dane Froila Salam, had pressured him into dismissing Reed. Honorable Orlando Habet confirmed to the media that Belize wood-mark design had been granted a logging concessions in the western hardwood area of the Mountain Pine Ridge in the Cayo district. The concession had been opposed by the chief forest officer and the co-managers of the Mountain Pine Ridge Reserve. Honorable Habet defended the concessions in the media, stating that there were some limitations placed on the concessions.
That has been approved. I think only about 40% of the area that was requested was approved. The studies show that one, it is in an area which is designated for forest, for logging as concessions, but not for yearly logging concessions. It has to be for sustainable logging. Also, one thing that we really have to look at was that we were losing a lot of that area by granting small licenses for 2-3 trees, and sometimes those don't become only 2-3 trees. Those become a stump, and then it goes for many small concessions, and so it almost becomes like a yearly logging license. I think that the area that is in that has been granted also has potential for tourism. Niche from the Ministry of Archaeology also has looked at the area. They have designated areas that are not to be touched The Forest Department has looked at all those hilly areas that are beyond 25 degrees that cannot be touched. Also, waterways have at least about 1 kilometer away from where the logging concession will be able to do. This is also important because when the applicant applied, they had to understand that when the concession is given, if it is given for 25 or 30 years, from my understanding of the study that was done, that only about 5 or 6 years of logging can occur, but he will have to manage it for the next 15 or 20 years.
The government of Belize on Tuesday announced the launch of a blue carbon pilot in collaboration with Bright Water to create high-quality blue carbon credits. This would seek to help protect Belize's marine ecosystem while generating new investment opportunities. Honorable Orlando Habet, the Minister of Sustainable Development, shared more details.
There will be some projects that will be developed independently, both in the marine area and also in the terrestrial area, that we might have to push maybe even before the bill is actually put in place. It has happened before in the terrestrial area especially. We have something that's almost similar with the Blue Bond, so I think it is good for us. We from the ministry are looking at trying to get the bill passed as early as possible so that then various groups, individuals can come up with carbon projects that they can put out for sale and get in some funding. I also think that where we have some opportunities will be in the agriculture sector, and so we are making sure that the bill is framed in such a way that not only large landowners or large companies can come up with carbon projects, but that small people, small farmers can come up with small projects, and so that then we can look at it from that standpoint, because it brings in funding for adaptation and resilience building against climate change.
Transport, DOT, has announced new regulations for restricting the movements of restriction of houses and oversized structures on public roadways to night hours only. Effective immediately, transportation of houses will be allowed between 9 p.m. and 5 a.m. 7 days a week. The decision comes in response to a growing number of public complaints about road blockage, delays, and damages caused by oversized loads being moved during daylight hours. The department says that failure to comply with the new rules will result in strict enforcement measures, including vehicle impoundment, fines, and suspension of permits. The department also urges all operators and the public to cooperate and contact the nearest DOT office for more information or to apply for movement permits. That's our news package for this morning, the 7th day of August 2025. After the program that follows us, which is the Morning Stew, there is an update that's around 12 o'clock. There's also an update at 3 o'clock and a full news broadcast at 5:15 on CREM Radio. Here on XTV, we bring you the entire news broadcast at 6 o'clock this evening. It's now 11 minutes to 7 o'clock. We take a short break. We'll open the phone lines until 7:30. When we expect our guests to be here. So stay tuned.
Informative, accurate, current information. CREM's newscast. Local, regional, and international news. Weather and sports.
At Atlantic Bank, your convenience is our priority. Our contact center is designed to enhance your banking experience. With a wide range of customer service options, you save time and effort. You can easily call in to block or unblock your debit and credit cards, perform account inquiries, and access detailed card information. Whether you need assistance with online banking, merchant support, or general inquiries, our team is ready to help. For added convenience, if all operators are busy, you can leave your number and an operator will return your call as soon as possible to ensure you receive the support you need. Depending on your transaction type, we may need to verify your identity through a set of security questions. And remember, Atlantic Bank will never request your username or password for Atlantic Online via phone call, text, or email, ensuring your personal information remains safe and secure. Our support team is available Monday to Friday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. in both English and Spanish. Simply dial 223-1212. This is a dedicated line for our contact center. Atlantic Bank is committed to providing you with exceptional service and the tools you need to manage your finances conveniently and securely. Take full advantage of our easy-to-use contact center services today.
Atlantic Bank, building the future together.
Amandala is now online. You can now access Amandala's midweek and weekend issues online by logging on to our website at amandala.com.bz/news and joining our membership portal today. There's 5 easy steps to get unlimited access to weekly e-paper, archive publications, and a host of other exclusive contents. Number 1, go to Amandala's website. Number 2, navigate to subscribed areas. Number 3, choose a membership level. Number 4, check out using our secured portal. Number 5, log into the members only section. Telephone numbers 501-280-4703 or 202-4477. Fax us at 501-222-4702, or you could email at amandalapress@yahoo.com or amandalapress@gmail.com. Amandala, all power to the people.
Oh man, one more scroll and my data is done.
Wait, who said anything about running out? Smart just dropped a more powerful plan that now includes social media data, so you can scroll till your fingers cramp. Visit any Smart showroom to sign up today because connectivity just got even better. Smart, bringing people together.
We're here? All right, welcome back. This is WUB, Wake Up Billy's Morning Vibes, on a Thursday morning, the 7th day of August 2025. Our phone lines are now open at 280-5848, 280-5848, and we welcome you to call and to weigh in. We do have guests coming in a little bit later on, just after the time check. So we reserve this first period for any calls that you would like to weigh in on. Interesting piece of news yesterday to actually find out who are the owners of that massive hotel that opened next to the Halova Bridge, as we call it. Here's our first call. Welcome, caller.
Good morning, my brother.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
It's that proverbial voice. I heard you are the minister, and you acknowledged me calling. And
I did, sir. I did.
Yes, I heard, and I couldn't call you last Thursday because I was out working.
Yeah.
But I finally, and then Friday was a holiday, so I said, let me try and get in this morning and tell you thanks.
Yes, I'm glad you did.
It seems as though they're not really serious about that program.
Well, I think I wouldn't put it as serious or not serious. I think sometimes there are too many moving parts.
Okay.
We have one tendency, and the public causes this. We come out when we initiate a program and we start talking about, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. And sometimes we go beyond reality. We talk beyond our ability to do because we try hype up what we can do. And then when it comes down to sequencing that and putting it into order and the energy you need, the resource you need to get those things done, you realize you don't got that. And what you really need to do is come back to somebody like you and say, look, this is the reality of what we're dealing with. We still have it in mind. We hope you can work out, etc. And with that particular case where you to talk about, there was an attempt to do it. There was an effort in fact, Dario went out around the same time, not with the same project, but Dario in wanting to diversify from what he was doing in feeding children every morning, went out to do some work on the farm. And he would call here and talk about how difficult it is, not only with backlash and things, but just the endurance to try to bring your product to the market. And so I'm saying that when the LIU first got that piece of land from the late Dr. Rosado, there was a lot of energy behind saying, wow, this citizen hears of this initiative and wants to support the initiative and is actually taking his own private property and leasing it to the program just to get this project off the ground. So there was a lot of hype behind it. And as I said, there were some youths that went out on the land. But caller, these things required more than just one simple initiative. It requires more partnership. For example, as we brought up to the minister last week, a project like that needed to have been not necessarily LIU, but it should have been the Ministry of Agriculture who is working with LIU.
Include the prison in it, because these guys has worked with at the prison and the farm, in the industries that they.
Indeed.
It's a big, but I think it's something, Nuri, that would help and would work.
Yeah, and I do too. And I think what we need is for example, if that program, and the program is still alive, it's just it needs attention put back
to get it going.
Yeah,
to get started. The money.
What you're drawing is an important addition. For example, taking those youths who are doing gardening already at Colby and bringing those youths under supervised condition, of course. And there's no big thing about that, because if you drive along the Northern and the Western Highway, or George Price and Philip Golson, you will see groups of inmates working out there under supervision of 2 officers. So it is not impossible to take those who are qualified in gardening that they're learning while they're at Colby to be able to come out working with youths. I mean, we can't afraid to mix them Monday as though they're not poison to each other. They're not necessarily poison. In fact, those who are spending some time away from the maddening crowd of the streets and can calm down a little and come back to their senses might be able to share that with those youths who are in the street. And there's a dynamic there, is what I'm saying. If it's properly supervised,
we just have to
it can
keep
work.
pushing and hoping that more sooner than later, somehow this program gets started, because I think it can make a difference in the thinking of the youths out here in the streets.
Yes, sir.
I leave you with that, my brother.
Thank you,
Good
brother.
morning, Billy.
Yes, and we'll
keep working on it.
Thank you, brother. We refer to this brother as the voice in the wilderness, as he calls himself. Yeah. That is, for those of you who don't know what he is talking about, he's been calling for several months now about the agricultural aspect of the LIU program, which was, the vision was to take those youths who are interested, and that's the first area. Find the youths who are interested, take them through some training, and give them an opportunity to do some home gardening. Welcome, caller.
Hello, good morning, Nuri.
Yeah, welcome, brother. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, not bad.
All right.
I listen to the caller. And the brother really, you know, have a passion to get this thing out of the crop. I believe it will help, and I know it will help.
Yeah, it will.
But these politicians, these people in office, as long as something not in it, where they could hustle, or some family member could hustle, they don't have no interest in Nuri.
Yeah. Well, let me
listen to me very good.
Right. Sure.
You said sports in Belize. When I was growing up, sports was one of the biggest things in Belize. Whatever sports you talk about, horse race, football, cycling, boxing, cricket, all these things, these events was crowded. I remember football at MCC, I see all them came truck they could know when they team for out district they play and thing for up north. Crowded. But them politicians those days have passion for sports. They have a passion, they have a love. I just be on jockey. You know me, I just be on jockey. For years, National Stadium, Ram, Jam, all over the country, I just ride horse, Nuri. Proud, go to the horse race. So that day, once you can hustle, you see in a sports, they can hustle. Nothing they need to hustle for their family. They don't care all them sports crop up. Then I'm disciplined. You see all them got no. Imagine you have boxing. And without words gone, we use gloves, certain areas. And we have boxing now. You bring out your crew and make with box and we get rewarded with and things. We help with our community money. We help in your community. With the sports, with the boxing.
Yeah.
That was discipline and make we use these things.
Yeah.
And you're give money to the community and the work in the community.
Yeah.
You know, all these things could work, but you see the politicians can't hustle. They don't want to make nothing for themselves, for their family. Every project right now on the ground, you see their family member involved. All the contracts they give out, so family involved. With their hustle and family. This is the problem. It's about them, not us. And there is where the problem rising in this country. This government that is in right now does not want to listen. Everything they don't know. That's why you see all these litigation. Look for money where we steal the payout Nuri. Every day and they do we have to pay. But then out of their pocket that we the taxpayers will have to pay. All these litigation because they don't listen. They fire people at will. They know. They think we're in a court and the government will lose, but then up to their pocket they feel that we want to pay. They say they don't want to listen. You have to listen to the people, but you don't know everything. I don't know everything, no. You don't know everything. But if you use the collective knowledge we're going forward. But then believing that, brother, me, and where I say good, and we don't want to hear what the people say, we don't have to consult with them.
So, Carl, let me ask you a question. You call and you express this several times over the years. Do you think this is a problem with this particular government, meaning the People's United Party government, or do you think that this is a problem with governments?
Government. I have said it over and over.
Because
government,
yeah,
they don't like to listen, my brother.
Because if you could remember, we were saddled with that heavy debt we had to pay back to Ashcroft, and that was during Dean Burrow's time.
Yes.
We are still paying for that. The point I'm making to you is that yes, you are correct, but if the listeners are listening to you and assume that you're talking about this particular government, meaning the People's United Party government, then that would be misleading. Because in fact, what we've been dealing with is an epidemic of these governments going all the way back for the last 40 odd years of making decisions that ultimately, if they get sued, whether it's by an Ashcroft or by another person, it in fact is we have been paying out as a people because of decisions that governments have been making. So that's the point I'm trying to make. In addition to that, what I have noticed is that politicians again get blamed for every infraction, and they should, because in fact they are at the head and the helm. But there's a lot of shenanigans that go on in the government processes, in the public officers, and individuals who don't do their due diligence even though they are being paid to do that. And by them not doing what they're supposed to do, projects fall apart. And as a result, the government gets sued. And we, the people, have to pay when the government gets sued. So we need to be able to understand that it's not only the crooked individual politicians, and yes, we do have those. We do have that in every mix. Then the indefinite self. They're not concerned about me and you. All they are doing is posturing and looking to hustle. But I wouldn't paint all of them with a brush. I wouldn't. It would be unfair. Because some of them, in fact, within the scope of their portfolio, is doing what they can. But they cannot do it as an individual. They have to do it within the context of a ministry, of a department, etc., etc. And it is when that department falls down and we get sued as a government and we have to pay that, who get blamed? Not a unit officer there, not a CEO there, not that individual within the ministry that is slackening up and allowing that project to not go through, and therefore that the government is not fulfilling its promise. No, it's the individual government and the individuals within the government that gets blamed. So I agree with you, but at the same time I try to put it in our context so we don't come to the conclusion that boy, like 40 odd years we will never get out of this. One government come in then do the same thing with the last government may do, and we are constantly stuck inside of this almost in perpetuity. So I just put that balance to where they say, my brother.
Right. I totally agree. That's why I always say governments, both governments do it. I always say that both governments, they does not like to listen. You have to listen. We up on the ground, you know. Lot of them staying at the office, me and you up on the ground. Me and you the out here. They don't want to listen to we. That just for themselves. That's why I say both governments. I always say UDP and PUP. When they get in power, well, we will listen to the people. We are do things different, but the next one we don't do like that. Everybody to win. All of them things they come up. But it's different when they get in you. Listen, you have to listen. For everything, you have to listen. For we to grow, we have to listen to where else. We go to school, we have to listen to the teachers. Everywhere you go, you have to listen to learn. You know everything.
I want to get you. I want
I tell you got ideas, and I know you push ideas to them people. Some of them they listen to, but a lot they don't listen to Nuri.
Majority they don't, brother.
You they in there for years with this kind of problem. You know this. You there on the ground, and I know you love your country or the tribe.
Yeah, I wanna ask you about a different area though, because you're definitely a news statement on the ground. I learned last night on the news that this big resort hotel by Halova Bridge, you've passed there and seen it? Oh no, he looked like he gone. Anyway, that's a massive building there. I've passed it constantly. I didn't have no idea. I just see it being constructed over the last year or so. And but then now I heard the news last night that in fact this is a project with a combination of Chinese business people, one of them being 88. And, you know, I always looked at 88 as a very interesting story because, you know, the Muslim mosque or masjid is not too far from there. And so we've been interacting with them and that group there for over the last 40 years or so. We saw them start very small. Anybody in that area know that 88 started very small. And then all of a sudden 88 had they on this corner, and then all of a sudden 88 they on this corner, and then all of a sudden, you know, I understand a big building there. So all four corners there by Penn Road belong to 88. So when I heard that, and 88 is an interesting merchant, because when everybody else closed, 88 open. When nobody no want to cash your check, 88 want to cash your check. When you run really short and things like that, 88 want to help you out. So they have become, you know, a service-oriented merchant, and they've got the support of the people in that area. Anyway, when I heard that they had put together this conglomerate, put together this group of 88 and about 2 or 3 other Chinese, 4 of them, 5 of them, 5 in all, yeah. I said, man, I'm proud of them. You know, I know the particular people there from the teenagers. They've been in that store at 88 and watched them over the years. So the big question is, do they have something that we indigenous Belizeans know got? What is it? What is it that they can pull together a trust group? Because none of them are born in a heaven. They're not human beings just like we. They got trust issues with one another just like we. They quarrel, I'm sure, just like we. They disagree just like we. Why? Because that's the human experience. But how is it that they are, as human beings, born by God's permission, just like we born by God's permission? But when they run the race in their lifetime, they are able to accomplish what we in our lifetime cannot accomplish. And I'm not talking about how you live your life and your personality and the fact that you raise good children and all of those things. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about enterprise development. What's going on? Why is it that we can see this group of companies, they call themselves group of companies now, and I can't look and find no Creole group of companies? We've got these group of companies. You can't say that we don't have some very wealthy Creole in this city. You mean to tell me that they have a problem of trust? That they can't come together? I could name some names and pull that 5 together, each of them putting $1 million, and I know you got the $1 million. If you not got it in a cash, you got it in a properties, and you could put that together and come in with multi-million dollars, and that as a group then, as a local Belizean group, Banya, you could start investing in these enterprises, employing our people, producing or providing goods and services to people as a group. You got it at Jamaica. I can show you in Jamaica, not only the Kennedys, but you've got a number of other groups in Jamaica that are local Jamaican business people that have come together, form conglomerates, and then invest, and therefore keep their money circulating in the indigenous people of Jamaica. We seem to have a problem with that. We seem to allow ourselves to have foreigners come in, whether they come in late or they come in recently, and they have packages, and they're able to present their package at this one that Orlando Habet has just floated and gotten agreed. This is a foreign company that comes in with an investment portfolio and wants to invest. They come to the government, they present an investment project to the government. The government tries to get the concessions and etc. that they do for all these companies, and then you're in business. Why does it have to be a foreigner that comes in with the investment when money is money? And if you got multi-million dollars and all you could do is show your pontification of your wealth, and you can't show that my wealth is not just an individual wealth, but I have invested in Belize over a long period. You see, that hotel no going no way. 88 no going no way. They will die, but their children will inherit wealth. They will pass away. All of those 5 investors will pass away. But that hotel, that resort at the corner of Halova will be there just as long as Fort George. I did look for Fort George from Ida and Liboy. Now it's gone through several transformations, but the property is still there, which means that that property will still be there. It will not necessarily be owned by those persons. But my point is that when you invest long term, you can get more out of the project if you're adding a larger capital to the project. So that if me and one other individual get together based on what we got in the bank, sure, we could get a project going. But if 5 or 6 others come together and form it as a company, as a group, and if you want to then go beyond just what me and you could do, because now we've expanded to 5 of us and our wealth has becoming much larger, and so therefore we could do investment. So we have to stop this idea that, and I'm telling you honestly, when I passed that bridge maybe many years ago and you thought something was going to happen, they told me it was going to be water taxi. I think that's what I heard was the first investor, and that they were going to move the water taxi from where it is located and relocated in this area. And then it went through several other projects. Then I saw the building start. And I must confess, when I looked at the project in its initial stages, I said, wow, this looks like a foreign investor has come to take advantage of a very lucrative location here. And I started seeing all the possibilities that can happen at that location and with that size of project. But my mind went foreign. My mind didn't go local. And it wasn't until last night's news report that I found out that yes, it is local, because, you know, I watched the people from 88, like I said, over the last 40 years. So they're not like men just come here as foreign investors. But what they have is a culture, and I think that's the point that I'm making here. They have a culture of trust. And so even though they may not agree with each other, they have learned how to not become disagreeable to the point where they can't work together. Whereas with me and you, we could fall out with each other, and sometimes we fall out last for years, maybe generation. We poison, we pick about the person that we don't like. That's our culture, and that is a part, when we are not analyze ourselves, these are part of the impediments that hold us back from economic progress. So just a thought that came to mind when I heard last night that the big hotel there at the Halova Bridge is owned by local Belizeans of Chinese ancestry, and that in fact they are taking well advantage of something that is good. Our number here is 280-5848, 280-5848. You could weigh in if you wish to make any comment on areas of concern. The other area that I did not comment on, because it happened after I was gone, is the murder of Tyrone Maine. We have worked with this particular group of youths for a very, very long time. Welcome, caller. Welcome.
Assalamu alaikum, brother Nuri.
Yeah, walaikum assalam, Ramadan.
I just want to quickly give my 2 cents, as they call it, in the business. That I learned many years from, and I heard from people that is in business in Belize, that what happened to some Belizeans is that they don't want to come together because they are too jealous or egotist. They don't seem to want nobody else to make it except themselves. So if you recall the Farrakhan program, Economical Rebirth, where a group of people join and get up economically, put some money together. I suggested it to many people in Belize, and nobody that I suggested agree. But somebody said to me, you know why they don't want it? Because you know why you get up, they don't mind they get up there, but when you join along with them, that's what they don't want. See?
Yeah.
So I believe maybe that's one of the reason why some people think the way they think.
You know, Ramadan, I'm glad you bring that up, because that is one of the things that we have been saying, that we not trust one another, we can't work together. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that yes, it is true. There's something in our thinking, in our process, in our psychology that prevents us from overcoming some of these ways in which we have been oriented to not work with each other. But what I've learned as I have matured is that distrust can't work with each other, and all these other impediments we think is black people impediments are human impediments. And it is human beings learning how to work within those circumstances and get along. You can't come to the conclusion, Ramadan, that every time you see one group of companies, that everybody in that group of companies they get along with one another. Sometimes in a boardroom there's war.
Yeah.
Disagreement. You the tease me, and I know I'm do this and that. But at the end of the day, they understand their customer base. They understand that if we quarrel, we not get no money.
Credit finish. Let me think something that you brought that up, please.
Yeah, sure.
People have the tendency also to say that black people don't want united, black crowd, and they pull you back in the bucket. But I move around Belize as I move around Central America. But let's go back to Belize. I notice everybody say, you see the Spanish people? Everybody work together. You see the Chinese people? Everybody work together. You see the Indian? But I have come across a lot of Chinese don't like the other. I come across a lot of Hispanic don't like the other. It's not like the way we believe.
It's a human problem, brother. It's a matter of learning now. When you understand that, what are the dynamics of getting together? And these techniques are taught that, guess what? If you sit in a room, you got 1 hour, you got a project that you're working with, but you spend 45 minutes arguing with each other and then 15 minutes on the project, something wrong with how you think. You see? And so you need to be able to...
Finally, I want to wrap with something that's also have me in my mind not too happy about it. I heard more than one occasion, as para XN of Okal no name, but you probably figured it out. In my 40 years of moving around the Islamic world, I would say, I never read that Muslim was enslaving people. I heard that the Arabs before Islam, before Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was the one that was enslaving people, not the Muslim. But in more than one occasion I heard that, saying that, the Arab Muslims, and I call up one time and I says, I don't hear nothing but no Arab Muslim. It's the Arabs before Islam. Salam alaikum.
All right, sir. Wa alaikum assalam. Yeah. Slavery, that's a big subject. And yes, there are Muslims who by name, they are Muslims. Maybe they don't practice the religion as the religion should be practiced, but they are Muslims. And they were enslavers. And so when you study the history, it wasn't an Islamic project to enslave people, but those individuals who were Muslims were part also of the business of slaves. And that idea of slavery was an industry. It was an industry that was invested in by people who had money, just like how you see today people invest in projects to be able to get their dividends out of those projects. So we don't see it like that. We think of slavery only within the context of, that's why so many of us in Belize believe we never was involved in slavery, because the way in which they told us the history of enslavement, they left out a whole lot of gaps out of that. And one of the things that the Europeans tried to do in switching the responsibility of slavery from them is two arguments. One, slavery is everybody made a slave. And that's true. That's true. Slavery, as we have defined it in the 20th century, is not necessarily the way slavery was defined in the past. So yes, slavery has existed, but the chattel slavery of the transatlantic slave has never existed before. And that's the distinction that needs to be made, is that the slavery that took place over the 500-year period of the transatlantic slave, meaning bringing large groups of people from the continent of Africa and bringing them into this region to work and to produce wealth. That type of slavery had never been done before. Even those Indians that were brought over here, they did not come over here in the same circumstances, even though their enslavement was known as indentured slavery, which gave an adjective to suggest that it wasn't like the chattel slavery. See, with us, we became property. With indentured slavery, they were given a task to do, they were given a payment to do, but they didn't have destruction of their culture, their language, their family units, etc., that happened with chattel slavery. So yes, slavery did exist. Yes, there were black people of melanin that were involved in the enterprise of slavery. But what we are mixing this thing up with is saying the conclusion that we have here of this totally broken people, are people who don't know their name, they don't know their origin, they don't know their background, they don't know nothing. They've become a completely new people. with no recollection of their past. That type of slavery did not exist with the slavery of the Chinese, the slavery of the Indian, the slavery of the Slavs, the Caucasians who were enslaved. You don't find that pattern of slavery that we talk about that infected black people in this part of the world. No other place had that type of slavery. So there's a very strong distinction that has to be made rather than people throwing it in our face. Well, everybody may got slave. Or slavery, everybody may have slavery. As though that slavery that existed from 1716 straight up to what we're dealing with today is somehow the same slavery as happened 4,000 or 5,000 years ago. No, it was not. We'll take our break now for 2 Cent Scam, which is presented by Brick City and is sponsored by Fort Point Security.
You're watching WUB and this is XTV, and I tell you to listen to me. I Bible leader, one of the most difficult things that I collect. No, I want to know the people in 2 cents. Where you go collect when you win?
That's right.
All right, good. That's your 2 cents. So a 2 cent question a day. If you win Bolido, where pie you think you could go change it?
I guess the other place where you go to the place where you bite, because if you bite a bubble pan and you couldn't have these, I don't know. They have any way of these up, you can cash that.
That's your 2 cents.
Done.
How you go change the winnings when you win Bolido?
Right, the shop will buy it.
All right. 2 cent question a day. When you win Bolido?
You don't buy Bolido.
You don't buy Bolido. Chino?
I don't know. I don't buy Bolido, my brother.
All right.
I don't know. You don't buy Bolido, so
you don't buy Bolido. All right. When you win Bolido, how you go collect? What are your 2 cents? Right. That your 2 cents? Yeah. If you win Bolido right now, how you go collect? All right, good. Where pay you go collect when you win?
I don't buy Bolido. Where I want to know, why they limit the certain numbers to buy that, where I want to know.
That's your 2 cents?
Yeah, why they limit
2 cent question of the day. 2 cent question of the day. When you win Bolido, how you go collect?
Well, from my understanding, you can collect from the shop where you buy the Bolido from, because the whole thing changed up back in the days. Once you buy Bolido, you could collect from any agent. Nowadays, you have to collect from the shop where you buy the actual Bolido from. And that shouldn't be like that.
That's your 2 cents?
Yes.
All right. Win Bolido, sir, how you go collect?
Chinese.
All right, that's your 2 cents?
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
I don't know.
When you win Bolido, how you go collect?
Me don't know.
That's for your 2 cents?
I go to my Chinese. Yeah, you go to Chinese and buy it.
Tired of replacing light bulbs? LEDs are what you need. LEDs last up to 30,000 hours. That's 30 times longer than incandescent bulbs, and up to 8 times longer than compact fluorescents. So less changing and less trash. Planet Earth thanks you. And the LED experts at Brothers Habet and Habet will help you find the best LED solution, with colors for every room and mood, starting as low as $6.95. You can even get LED strips for home, office, and industrial use. So say goodbye to fluorescent tubes forever. And because they use up to 90% less energy, you save money. Money you can spend on other things. So head to Brothers Habet or Habet and Habet today. You can also call, email, or Facebook us. Have a brilliant day.
En Atlantic Bank, tu comodidad es nuestra prioridad. Nuestro centro de contacto está diseñado para mejorar tu experiencia bancaria. Con una amplia gama de opciones de servicio al cliente, ahorras tiempo y esfuerzo. Puedes llamar fácilmente para bloquear o desbloquear tus tarjetas de débito y crédito, realizar consultas de cuentas y acceder a información detallada de tus tarjetas. Ya sea que necesites asistencia con la banca en línea, apoyo para comercios o consultas generales, nuestro equipo está listo para ayudarte. Para mayor comodidad, si todos los operadores están ocupados, puedes dejar tu número y un operador te devolverá la llamada lo antes posible para asegurarse de que recibas el apoyo que necesitas. Para mayor seguridad, es posible que necesitemos verificar tu identidad con un conjunto de preguntas sencillas. Recuerda, Atlantic Bank nunca solicitará tu nombre de tu usuario ni contraseña de Atlantic Online por llamada telefónica, mensaje de texto o correo electrónico, asegurando que tu información personal permanezca segura y protegida. Nuestro equipo de apoyo está disponible de lunes a viernes, de 8 a.m. a 6 p.m. en inglés y en español. Simplemente marca al 223-1212. Esta es la línea dedicada para nuestro centro de contacto. Atlantic Bank se compromete a brindarte un servicio excepcional y las herramientas que necesitas para administrar tus finanzas de manera conveniente y segura. Aprovecha al máximo nuestro servicio del centro de contacto.
Atlantic Bank, building the future together.
Oh man, one more scroll and my data is done.
Wait, who said anything about running out? Smart just dropped a more powerful plan that now includes social media data so you can scroll till your fingers cramp. Visit any Smart showroom to sign up today because connectivity just got even better. Smart, bringing people together.
Sir, your item is ready for viewing.
Is that all?
This is everything.
Belize introduced its new electronic passport in 2022 through the launch of the Electronic Passport Issuance and Control System, EPICS. The e-passport includes an electronic chip that safeguards the holder's personal information and photograph. It also features a verification mechanism compatible with biometric systems such as smart gates at international borders. The passport's design reflects national pride, showcasing Belizean landmarks and symbols. It incorporates 26 modern security elements to prevent fraud and corruption. The introduction of the e-passport aims to enhance security, improve processing efficiency, and reduce application backlogs, benefiting Belizeans both domestically and abroad. The Ministry of Immigration, strengthening national sovereignty, security, and socio-economic development.
WUB, Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes, and we have our guest in the studio. He is the one and only Jerry Enriquez, and he has been here on so many occasions. As a matter of fact, Jerry, we used to bring Jerry in to talk about mindfulness, and we go back, I think, almost 3 years in that conversation. And he's been here, actually also conducted sessions on air to show how mindfulness in fact works. But over the last, I would say, 6 months or so, he has switched tracks, maybe, I am not sure, but he has become very much involved in a legal case. Let me say, callers, that we're not going to take any phone calls now. We prefer to wait until we've completed the conversation with Mr. Enriquez, and then we'll open the phone line. So please excuse me, caller. All right, so let's jump directly. First, welcome.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, we appreciate your being here.
Quite a week. Yesterday I was doing a mindfulness workshop for the staff of Ecumenical Junior College. And then the weekend we had a board retreat for Tide, so I was in Toledo. So it's been quite a busy week, but I'm glad to be here too. Yeah, it's.
I'm glad that you are here.
Thanks for inviting me.
Glad that you took the time. I want to jump in. Of course, let's go to the legal case first, right? Because we can talk about mindfulness from so many different angles. But I'm sure that people would like to get an update on where is the legal case. Firstly, what you had done, why you had done that in terms of redistricting, what the results came, and then the hiccup with Judge Hondura, and then another decision was made, and then now we are at where we are final. So if you could take us through that chronology as to what has been happening and where is it at now?
Well, first of all, I got very involved in this case just because over the years I was very concerned about the government of Belize, both political party administrations, continuing to ignore the right of Belizeans for fair representation in the National Assembly. And it seems as though both political parties were ignoring that constitutional requirement. It is the supreme law of the land, which starts with we, the people of Belize. So we have this law that is expected that every political party, and in fact the people of Belize, the citizens of Belize, ought to obey. We are a nation of laws, and that law creates and defines what our country is supposed to be. But each political party continue to violate the law, and they promise at the beginning of their term of office, and they ignore it for as long as they could go, just because, on the other hand, the citizens themselves do not require that standard of their leaders to obey the law. Ironically, they quickly try to find laws and amend the Constitution while they break the Constitution. And instead of, for example, doing a 13th Amendment to try to continue to traumatize young black men and not after a failed system of trying to address these concerns and the root cause of poverty, they ought to have been a kind of an amendment to call out their illegal way in which they got into office, disobeying the law. So I just want to throw that out there.
Of course, you're pointing out a contradiction.
Yeah, they quickly find ways to try to address those other things after failing over and over to address the levels of poverty and all these things that ought to have been an emergency situation for decades. Having failed to do that, and of course Belize City is heavily, in a sense, overrepresented, but still you have all of these problems. Having failed to do that, they continue, they broke the law, they break the law. So I wanted to look at the numbers.
Yeah, I want
afterwards.
we have those numbers already there, Christy, so maybe we could start
just to see what
numbers.
the status quo is, and I would like the viewing and listening audience to look at.
Yeah.
If she's presenting those numbers, for example, and we still have the status quo under which we enter general election.
Is that the
Let's look at it. Electors by district.
Okay.
The current situation. For example, the current situation right now is that Corozal district has 4 area reps. Orange Walk has 4. I highlight these other ones to show that there needs to be amendment in these areas. Orange Walk has 4. Belize district alone has 13. And Cayo district 6. Stan Creek district 2. Toledo 2. With redistricting, if you look at the bottom section of the same graph, it ought to have been, if you're looking at, for example, let me go back a little bit. The Constitution requires that every electoral division are equal or near as equal as possible, given also geographic considerations. So here we have we ought to have 4 in Corozal, which is what is the current situation. But Orange Walk should have had 5 area reps for the district. Belize district ought to have had 9, and it has 13. And most of it, the heavy burden is here in Belize City and Belize Rural South. Stan Creek district ought to have had 3. Currently it has 2. Cayo district ought to have 8. For example, Belmopan has more than 10,000 registered electors, but it has only 1 area rep. Toledo could be considered for 3, given again the geographic distribution and the expanse of villages. Now here we have, in these small Belize City constituencies, an area rep for less than the required average number of registered voters. Let us look at the next section by the next graph by division, electoral divisions. And I kind of color coded it just to show, just to list a point. In the next graph, electors by division as at May 2025. I could call that up.
Yeah, that's the next graph.
I just wanted to show these numbers for people to get very clear where the numbers stand with the number of electoral voters and the unfairness of the system of representation under which both political parties continue to insist, with no regard for the Constitution, to have these electoral divisions. So let's see that can we present that graph there?
Got that next graph.
That table, please. The next one with color-coded table.
Yeah.
You will see, for example, and it's no different than how we entered election with the distribution that we have. Just the numbers have increased, but it's the same discrepancy, the same severe malapportionment that we're having. Stan Creek West currently has 10,788 registered electors. 10,788. Compare that with Mesopotamia, 2,336. About 5 times more registered electors in Stan Creek West than Mesopotamia, yet both share 1 area representative. What does that mean?
All right.
And then this, similarly, Belmopan.
Is that graph with you now, Christy? I think it is now. Yeah.
Similarly, Belmopan has, if you see the numbers, 10,569 registered, the total electors. Belize Rural South, in this green shaded area, all of these electoral divisions have more registered electors than the average 6,703, or over the international standard of 10 to 15% above average. So what we're having then, so in all this area that is shaded, Stan Creek West, Belmopan, Belize Rural South, for example, over 10,000, Cayo North, Cayo Central, Toledo East, Orange Walk North, Cayo South, all have more than average or number of registered electors. Compare that to the bottom with Belize Rural North, the orange shaded color. If you could scroll down to that orange shaded color, you will see all of these fall well below the required mean. For example, Belize Rural North, Pickstock, Port Loyola, Caribbean Shores, Freetown, Collet, Albert, Queen Square, Fort George, Mesopotamia. These are, in fact, even less than half in some cases, and you have area representatives.
So I think we understand.
So that's where it's still.
We understand the case.
Yeah. So
you were suggesting this adjustment, as you showed in that first graph.
Yeah.
Would have said that a total adjustment in Corozal would have been 4.
Yes.
You know, and you
that's just what it ought to look like if you follow the Constitution.
Now, the judge denied that argument. Go ahead, sir.
The judge, when we took the case to court, in fact, it was kind of a cat and mouse game because we intended to call an injunction of the election.
Right.
And we filed that injunction the night before elections were called.
Right.
And the judge looked at our case, and he looked mainly at in the ruling, he looked at procedural matters, mainly the emphasis on the signatures were not properly affixed. He questioned the authenticity of the signature and all of those things in that case. But then, during the lunch break of the case, and that case was virtual, and therefore there was those who were listening also recording. Live mics were on. And he said something, he was communicating with another judge, which we felt was also compromising the
Which is
integrity
normal, by the way. It's just that the mic shouldn't have been on.
But also some of the things that were said.
We
questioned the authenticity, the integrity of the whole system.
Right.
And therefore
Was that ever accepted that in fact he should not, first of all, did he accept that he misspoke? And secondly, was there any judgment?
At first he mentioned in the case that whatever we heard was patently incorrect. Right. So he kind of brushed that off.
That was before he heard the tape.
And then when we presented the tape, and he went on to explain, that means he was admitting that, when I said certain things, I spoke with the justice, but we filed a complaint to the Judicial and Legal Services Commission.
Yes. How did that go?
We haven't heard any.
They have not responded.
They've responded to say we acknowledge receipt of your, but there's no investigation.
No judgment on your case.
Nothing. It's almost like.
So what happens with a case like that, Jerry? Is it that it's just we just forget about it?
We're asking the court to look at it, to recuse him from anything that has to do with our case.
So if he's recused after the judgment has been passed, what does it do to your case?
Well, we are contesting the wasted cost in the Court of Appeal, and because there's that cost that we want to pose on.
How do they put that cost on you?
The specifics of the cost, I don't know, but
because that was a worrying. We got that in the media that your group was concerned that you would be burdened with cost of court.
There's this wasted cost that they're saying not for me, but they'll impose it on my attorney, which is how he's working for me. So that is what we're going to.
And he was doing that pro bono, as you had mentioned. Pretty much pro bono.
Pretty much so, even though he has his team that they're not pro bono, so they have to be. So the fundraising was more to cover the cost.
I really didn't want this conversation this morning to be solely on your case, but the case is so intriguing. And, you know, these cases where we challenge the emperor is rare.
Yes.
Because of this, you know, this fear that they put in us, that the government becomes this god. And rather than seeing it as our representative, and that if you don't do what you're supposed to do as my representative, I have the right to call you in check, not just during election, but I could sue you and say, as an ordinary citizen. We've been trying to get this point across to them boy up on the street, that you have rights, not because they call you gang member, mean you can't carry your case to court. You can take your case to court if you feel that you've been violated.
Of course.
So I'm asking you, in a particular case like this, clearly there's been some hiccup. Clearly a judgment has been passed that basically put your case on hold. But there were some inconsistencies in that case, one of which he had to have admitted that is my voice, I am saying what I'm saying, and that could be interpreted as being something that is an anomaly. I shouldn't have said that. So what happens with a case like that? Does he continue to sit on the bench and continue to...
Not with our case. We do not...
Not your case, but I'm saying integrity has been called into question.
It's up to the Judicial and Legal Services Commission to investigate what has gone on and to make a determination as to how they move forward from there. But the thing is, we called him out, we documented, we sent recordings, and it is all in the hands of the Judicial and Legal Services Commission. But the important thing, though, that as you mentioned, as citizens, we have rights that we must protect. If we continue to ignore violations and the downward spiraling of our democracy, there are consequences down the road.
Indeed.
And so that is why I was very disappointed, in a sense, by the unions, by civil society organizations, when they're seeing these blatant violations of the Constitution, and they remain quiet. The only time you're here, and I keep saying this, while I respect the teachers for their fight for better wage, salaries, and benefits, and the unions, I have always said, years ago through my writings in the Mandala, that their approach still focuses narrowly. As long as they get their salary and benefits, even though they say we got it back, they don't worry about anything. The government could be doing all kinds of wrongs, and as long as their salary, they are satisfied.
Then I good.
And then if something happens, they come out en masse. They could have come out in mass to see this blatant violation, or call it out, or write about it.
So they contradict the saying, I got your back.
They not got me back at all. They got them back so in that sense.
Ms. Callis,
so,
and Mr.
there's a blatant violation
and
of the
Mr. Dean, you not take people for granted. Not because your case, when you present it to us, are solid cases, that we want to believe that your case is the only solid case, and that when you see violations, none of my business. How could it not be your business when all of it has to do in the same ecosystem? How could you see wrong in this area here and then you're silent in this other area? So
especially with this, it's a gross constitutional violation.
It is the most
It is the structure of government that is distorted already, and you're fighting more at the bottom just to get pieces, my piece. So
I believe
that has to happen.
I feel the same way about the 13th Amendment. I find that the silence of the teachers, the silence of the public officers, etc. It's as though we only concerned about for we thing. We know the word about unu, and so anyway, that's not our subject today. The point is that it is important that we abide by a principle that old people used to teach us, that the knife will stick the sheep, that the knife will should stick the goat.
Right.
You know, switch up knife. You will be consistent. If it is wrong over here, then clearly it's wrong where you see it being wrong, right? But Jerry, I wanted to move away from your specific case to go back now into mindfulness, because I've been very concerned over the last couple of weeks, and even more beyond that, but it's been burdening me, at the amount of people walking through the streets of Belize with mental problems.
Yes.
And then I run into so many people who are not on the street, but you could see clearly levels of anxiety, levels of panic attack, man. So in our next section, I'd like us to start looking at that and see where, as a mindfulness practitioner, you could give guidance to structural approaches to dealing with this, rather than just sprinkle over the top and then nothing will change. So we'll take the next break and we'll be right back.
Okay, thanks.
Get ready for back to school with Benny's B-Books. We have limited edition Benny's exercise and composition books just in time for the new school year. Get 6 composition books for 5 B-Bucks and 12 exercise books for only 2 B-Bucks. Benny's and B-Bucks, getting you ready for back to school.
We are ready for back to school. Are you?
Here's how to access your contribution history on the My Social Security portal. First, go to your browser and type ssbportal.org.bz. Enter your email and password, then click Log In. Once logged in, you'll see your full portal account on the screen. On the left-hand side, you'll notice a drop-down menu for added features. Click on History. Choose Contributions. Read the disclaimer, then click Continue. You'll now see a full window displaying your contribution history. In the table, each row represents a different year. For example, let's look at the year 2024. Click on the row and a detailed breakdown will appear. This breakdown includes your employer's name, your earnings for each month and week, contribution type, the amounts paid, and that's how you can explore the new contribution feature on the My Social Security portal. It's quick, easy, and keeps your Social Security information right at your fingertips. Create your account today.
Whether you are a busy person or stuck in traffic or having an adverse or very demanding circumstance, tension builds up, causing you to be stressed out. Stress attacks everyone, anytime, any age. And stress is a killer. Palm City? It's best to be alive than dead. So visit Freetown Drugstore to get options to relieve stress and to relax your mind.
Yes, sir. What can I do for you today?
I'm so stressed out.
Okay, I'm saying help you right now. When I this daily, for 10 days, I am good after that, okay?
Okay.
Freetown Drugstore, 28 Freetown Road, where you are better off alive than dead. Freetown Drugstore, telephone 223-2876.
Planning a trip to Belize? Here's how to complete your I Declare Arrival form in 5 easy steps. Step 1. Visit belizetravel.immigration.gov.bz. Step 2. Select the appropriate forms for arrivals. Choose Arriving to Belize. Step 3. Provide your origin trip details, including your departure airport and country of residence. Step 4. Carefully complete the immigration form. Add dependents if necessary. Declare baggage, currency, and merchandise, and confirm your entries are correct. Step 5. Download your completed form and take a screenshot of your QR code and reference ID to present to the immigration officer. Thank you for using Belize iTravel. Safe journey.
Our banknotes are changing, but why did we update them? The central bank continuously assesses the integrity of our banknotes to maintain quality and security. The old series of banknotes has been in circulation for more than the recommended lifespan, which is 7 to 10 years. The new banknotes integrate enhanced security measures to combat counterfeiting, making transactions safer for everyone, giving you the confidence that your money is safe and authentic. Our money should be as strong and secure as our economy, and the new banknotes reflect that commitment. New look, same value, more secure. Learn more at www.centralbank.org.bz. A message from the Central Bank of Belize.
This is WUB, Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes, and we have our esteemed brother Jerry Enriquez here. He's been telling us in the first section about their case that of redistricting, but we didn't invite him here only to talk about that, but I wanted to go into some other areas of his expertise in this area of mindfulness. And Jerry, what I wanted to bring to you and ask for your learned opinion is on this almost proliferation of people with mental and psychological issues walking through the streets, not only of Belize, Belmopan, Cayo, all over the country. It prompted me to go and do a little bit of background research. And I found out that as a government, we only put 2% of our annual health budget into mental health issues. 2%. How far can we get with allocating 2% into a massive problem like that? So we can understand the issue of people not getting the right medication or sufficient medication, or a level of the medication being of such a quality that you get all kind of side effects, etc., etc. The fact that many people think that some of these people should be housed, but they're left floating around the street, some of them with their pants off, and all kind of situation that we're seeing in the streets. So my mind came to you, since you deal with trying to get people to quiet the noise in their head, how is it that you are not being asked to assist, if not you practically, at least you theoretically saying to the government, I can do something about what's going on here? It's a wide issue, so let's start with, is there something in your training, in your profession, that can make a difference with the amount of persons that we are seeing being impacted as they are by what is now being referred to as a world epidemic of mental health issues?
I can go back, if I could just reflect on how I got on this path. I remember growing up in PG, and I used to be very disturbed at the levels of alcoholism, people looking very broken, way back as a child growing up in PG, and people trying to find ways out. But remember, in those days, it was like the forgotten district. So you have these economic problems, social problems, and men just drinking away their lives in frustration or for whatever reason that they're drinking. And so I was disturbed. While on the other hand, people are looking for something. They are so dedicated to their churches, but yet there's still a deep suffering that you see. There's like a cloud of suffering in the community, and that used to disturb me. And that is what prompted me. In fact, when I was teaching at the high school, since there was no counselor in the school at the time, students used to come and talk to me about their deepest problems. And so I used to wonder, why me? Why did they come and talk with me? And that is what got me interested in psychology. But even as I studied Western psychology, I was a little bit disturbed at its cognitive approach. It wasn't getting to the root or the core at that time. And I worked in Washington, D.C. with the homeless, recovering addicts. I also volunteered in Chicago in the streets. And I was seeing this suffering also in a country that was supposed to be known as a country of wealth. I was shocked in Washington, D.C. as I worked with the homeless, recovering addicts, the elderly. And then it was a Jesuit priest, Father Tennant Wright, introduced me to mindfulness meditation in 1984. And that gave me a whole new level of understanding the core of human suffering. In fact, after Father Tennant Wright introduced me to it, he had just come from Japan, in fact. So even as a Catholic priest, he recognized something was missing, and he spent 3 months at a Zen monastery in Japan and came back with a whole new perspective of human suffering. And so that is what he also shared with me. And I shared that practice with some classes that I was teaching at the time at Toledo Community College. So there was this class that was restless, that the teachers, these classes where teachers don't like to go in there because it's always disruptive. And every time before I started teaching, I would have them sit in practice for like 10 minutes. And by the end of the month, there was a tremendous change in their participation, in their awareness. So what am I saying? That it is the lack of people understanding what is going on within themselves that is causing a whole lot of problems outside. People are seeking answers outside, but a proactive, in a way, preventive manner in which people could learn to deeply resolve their problems is to go inside. So there needs to be like an inner transformation. Go inside and see what's happening in your mind, what you have stored, sometimes even for generations, is passed down to you, and to find ways in silence and stillness to be able to calmly deal with it. And it has profound impacts. Mindfulness is in schools in all over. It's spreading now. In 1984, when I started, it was virtually unknown. And so now in other countries, they're recognizing the power of that practice to be able to prevent a lot of other traumas, mental illness and all of that. If there's consistent practice, even starting from childhood, you could have a whole new generation of aware, conscious citizens to be able to live and manage their own stress and challenges in their life. So
people are listening to you very closely, and believe me, I have talked to persons who have listened to you in the past, and they have benefited, perhaps because your background is also as a teacher, and you are able to make these things, explain these difficult concepts in a way that people can appreciate. But you're saying just now that if a person can go into themselves, now that might sound easy to you, but to a lay person, to a man who is not familiar with what are you talking about? Go into myself. What is in myself that I need to go in and discover? Go there.
Well,
please.
it comes with a training, so it's not like you could just perhaps just try to do it by itself. It's a guided practice to start with. It's just like if you go to the gym, somebody show you how to manage the weights, what exercises to do.
Okay.
So what I have been doing is doing workshops, especially targeted at teachers, just because I want to gain the interest of teachers to do further training so that they could implement it in the schools. If mindfulness is a part of the school curriculum, if it is an integral part of the school curriculum, I could almost guarantee that we will have a whole new generation of alert, of people who are more positive in their interactions, deeply respectful, compassionate, empathy. The education system has blocked out a whole level of building awareness and nurturing positive relationship. If you go to a classroom, the students sit, face the front, listen. One teacher drones along, sometimes quite boringly, and then you regurgitate, and then you pass and you move on. So for 8 years, you're conditioned in a certain way, and you're externalizing knowledge, and you're not getting that inner knowing, from where everything springs. So it's almost, there's an inner knowing that is blocked, and an inner awareness. So I had a workshop yesterday with the junior college, ecumenical junior college teachers, and was able to do some practice, and they recognize that sitting in silence, for example, just observing the breath, it will show you the quality, the state of your mind, the distraction that you always have in the background. So you have to, when you sit in silence and solitude, it reveals to you the state of your mind, the state of the kinds of thoughts that dominate your mind. You could see when anger is arising, you could see all these states arising in the mind, and without knowing, if you're not aware, you react to it. But if you're aware of this anger arising, you're aware of greed arising, craving arising, you know how to manage it right at the level, the root level, when it is arising.
All right.
And
So let me slow you down.
I could do a practice with you later on.
And you did this. We'll go back like 3 or 4 years ago, right?
Yeah.
The important thing that I don't want to pass,
Yes.
brother, and you are a profound teacher. I've seen you. You and I have worked together. You've worked in the prison. You've worked on some of the workshops that I've had. So what you are talking about works. Let's get that across. You're not somebody rolling a dice and it might happen or it might not happen.
And there's a science behind it.
You got proof. Yeah.
there's
This is not a bolito. This is very precise. So, but a person, again, listening to you out there may not quite, and I'm going really down to my basic clients that I deal with that is so distracted.
Yeah.
How do you get them to even get their attention, to much less get inside and get silent, close your eyes? I mean, how could I close my eyes? I don't know what's going on. So, and believe me, people, you may not.
It's that simple but profound exercise.
It is, and people, look, you think you could just tell a person, close your eyes and remain silent and quiet for 10 minutes and observe your breath. You think that's easy. It is not an easy thing for a person who is not used to that.
Right.
And a person who has trust issues, I'm not sure issues, I don't even know who you are, and you to tell me close my eyes. So all of these are factors that I want you to speak to in trying to draw people closer to what in fact can help them as they're listening to you right now. This exercise that you're talking about is something that if they practice it now, they can see some level of difference. So when we come back, we're actually going to open the phone line so that people can ask you questions, but we're also going to do an actual exercise,
Yes.
so that we could see exactly how it happens and what
I
happens.
remember we did a session with some guys from inner Belize City, and one guy saying, man, when I finish this, I feel like I just have a nice weed.
Like a good
like
smoke.
a weed, yeah. I could have done it instead of smoking weed.
All right.
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll show you a shortcut to get a weed taste without a weed smoke. All right. So we'll be right back.
Every moment matter with your credit card. More transactions, more chances to win cash back. You can be one of 4 monthly winners. Get a chance to win cash back with every purchase of $100 or more. For more information, visit www.atlabank.com. Atlantic Bank, building the future together.
Nando's Wholesale is your market leader in Belize's wholesale industry when it comes to high-quality products at the most reasonable and competitive prices. With over 40 years in the wholesale business, Nando's Wholesale embraces the partnership of the hotel industry in Belize by providing world-renowned brands in wines, seasonings, condiments, and cleaners in industrial sizes, as well as small and large kitchen appliances and equipment. Nando's also takes pride in providing one of the quietest and most durable air conditioning systems in Belize with technical support and spare parts. Nando's Wholesale. Professional, reliable, effective, and prompt. Nando's Wholesale always delivers. Visit us at www.nandos.bz or send an email to nandos@nandos.bz. Or, even better yet, give us a call today at 222-500 or 280-8080 to speak to one of our sales representatives today.
José Tun presenta Los Cumbia Kings.
Mi dulce niña, tú me fascinas.
Los Cumbia Kings en concierto.
Sabes a chocolate.
Este 30 de agosto en el Estadio del Pueblo, Orange World Belice. Los Cumbia Kings en vivo.
No tengo dinero ni nada que dar.
No te pierdas el concierto del año que te hará bailar como nunca. General 150, VIP 200 y Platino $350. Boletos a la venta en la aplicación QuiPass, disponible en Android y iPhone. También con Orindrag con cuellos, Shell One Stop, María's Café, Lifestyle Beauty Salon y WSK Call Center al 611-3677. Amor Turquesa, Boutique Belmopá. Gracias al patrocinio de
BTV, Mechas, Cuellos, Lock and Loaded, Mark Production, Quick Pass, Lighthouse,
Instituto Nacional de Cultura e Historia y Smart Belice.
our brother Jerry Enriquez, and we've been talking about mindfulness as a practical strategy, if I could use that. We kind of keep talking these military terms, but as a practical way to deal with your own anxieties. And we now open the phone lines. As you see, the caller is already calling at 280-5848, and we have some more questions for Mr. Enriquez, but we also want to engage you. Welcome, caller.
Brother Nuri.
Yes, sir.
What were we talking about this morning on the show?
Oh, okay. You know the hair we need up?
No, sir.
All right, we're talking about mental health, Kalimo. We're talking about mindfulness as an approach to dealing with mental health on a personal level. But
well, Brother Nuri, that's a good topic because sometimes
you'll stay with that topic, right? You'll stay with that topic, though.
I will move off and leave seconds after, but I'm going with this topic. Listen to me.
Not go too far.
I think that some days I need to go check the health because the other day I had a panic attack. It scared the heebie-jeebies out of me. I thought I was going to have a heart attack. But, you know, recently I went to the Cleopatra White Clinic one afternoon. And I sat there, got triage. I went through the whole 9 yards. I had my 2 daughters with me. And I had a piece of glass protruding from my forehead. I had had an accident twice and my head came through the windshield. And I got a lot of pieces of glass. But every now and again the glass comes out. Like the skin make it shoot out, right?
Yeah.
Well, this piece was really annoying me because almost 3 weeks and it all come out. And I couldn't hold it because I can't see it. So, anyway, I went to the clinic to see if I could get somebody to do it, no? And unbeknownst to me, there was a nice, lovely doctor. I forgot what her name was. Nice young lady. And she got me in the office and I said to her, she said, why are you here? I said, well, I have a piece of glass in my forehead and it's driving me crazy. I did say those words, it's driving me crazy. And the lady took on her gloves and she asked, how you get the glass in your forehead? I said, well, I had an accident and blah, blah, blah. Explained how the glass got in my forehead. And she put her hand and she felt with the gloves. And I sure she couldn't feel it. Anyway, she took out the gloves and sat me down and asked me with who I was there. So I said, with my 2 little daughters. And she said, sir, I don't want to take this the wrong way, but would you like me to recommend you to the mental health people? But I know I said to her it is driving me crazy in a figure of speech, but last month the lady told me that one next doctor came in and said yes, it does happen sometimes, it pops out by itself. But I never gone to make them diagnose me as losing my mind or me having mental health issues. You understand me? You know, I mean, it's a nice thing that we talk about mental health because I have a family member who I really think he needs to go to the mental health, but he wouldn't go because he feels that he's above that. But something is wrong with him. You know, something is wrong with his mind.
Yeah.
You know,
all right.
I don't know if he gonna smoke one weed one day and take out the mind and put it somewhere, but he can't seem to have found it back.
Wow.
And he refuses to seek help. You see, we got this stigma that because we go to the mental health, it means we are crazy.
Yeah.
Or because we go take an AIDS test, it means we have AIDS. No, sir. It is called
prevention
taking
is better
care
than
of yourself before it's too late.
Yeah. Kalimo, you gotta make your point because remember I have a guest here.
The point is that it's a good thing we're thinking about it and we're going. And a lot of people who have mental issues don't want to go because of the stigma, of the fear. You know, and it doesn't mean something is wrong with you, but maybe you could go and get help before it reaches the point where it's beyond help.
But you know what we do here with Brother Enriquez is to recognize that even before it gets to that point, that maybe you're just full of anxiety. Maybe you're going through a situation where these exercises that he's talking about here can calm you down, can bring you back in control of yourself, as opposed to, you know, thinking that you're crazy. You may not be crazy at all, but if you allow me, I will ask him some more questions so we can get more clarification.
Brother Nuri, does it mean that because you have panic attacks or anxiety attacks, like all of a sudden you feel like, boy, Brother Nuri, I was in a car the other day with 4 people, and thank God Jesus, I did not have a gun. I start watching them, they smile, and I say, no, so then I feel like they are shooting me at the back of my head. And I got, Brother Nuri, it's a good thing I could have calmed myself down, because they were saying, let's go here and let's go here. Why we have to go with it? And this last request sounded like this is the last drive. But it was my mind. It was in my mind. I'm glad I didn't react, because the next day when I told them, we laughed about it, and they said, boy, are you serious? You understand me? Yeah. Anyway, Brother Nuri,
thanks.
That's why I had issues, but I left you from this.
Yeah, we'll call tomorrow because you know
something really on my mind, and I want to discuss it, but I don't want to interrupt again.
All right, man. Thanks very much, Kalimor. Number here is 280-5848.
One of the important things that the caller mentioned is, of course, if you are feeling in different mind states, anxiety and all of that, it's important to seek help. And I want to clarify that mindfulness is not an intervention to heal these other things that are like bipolar disorder and all that. This is a way of living to prevent these things from happening, so that you're aware of yourself, you're aware of your mind states, you're aware when you're getting anxious and all that, and you know how to manage these things before it gets way overboard. That then you'll need the kinds of psychiatric intervention.
Okay, welcome, caller. Welcome.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Nuri Mohammed and Mr. Enriquez.
Yes.
Enriquez.
Welcome, sir.
I go about my day when I have those issues, or I go about my day every day by following people's quotes like Marcus Aurelius or Stoics, the great Greeks, philosophers and everything. Or I do with Buddhism and everything to control my mind and everything, because sometimes we wake up in the morning and we embed things in our mind that's not really in reality. And we go about the day with the same thought in mind of we wake up in the morning to. You might wake up thinking about, I'm a failure, even though you're not a failure, but you embedded that in your mind. So you go on throughout the whole day thinking about what you embedded in your mind in that morning time. But yes, just 30 seconds, but I go with Marcus Aurelius and Stoics and Buddhism to control my mind. Anyway, guys, peace out.
That's a very good point, my brother. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that's a very important point.
He said he wakes up in the morning sometime really depressed, looking at himself and I'm a failure, etc. Start from there. And many people do that.
Yeah, which those kinds of thoughts and the dominance of thoughts in the mind affect how you behave. So if you're putting these thoughts that are negative in a sense, you're just bringing down yourself, and then you cannot carry through the day.
You can't overcome it because you tell yourself that.
But you have to recognize that these are just thoughts. For some people believe what they're thinking is reality.
But isn't it reality? My thoughts. How can I
your thoughts are not. It's real that you're thinking it, but the thoughts itself is not reality. You are making up stories in your mind.
You need to explain that. Welcome, caller.
Yes, salam alaikum again, Brother Nuri.
Yes, brother. Welcome, Islam.
I have learned some years ago from a Tibetan monk that the mind is like the engine of your entire body. And if you have some kind of failure in your mind, some kind of affects the entire body. If you have negative thoughts, like the caller just said, it's going to work like that because your mind is powerful. So your mind can make you uplift yourself or it could auto-destroy yourself. That's when I learned from the Tibetan monk. And I remember in 2020 when I started to lose my sight, I started to worry so much until I lost 25 pounds in about 2 weeks. When I realized that I was doing that to myself, then how to control my mind. All praises be to Allah. I'm in good order right now because I learned to control my mind. Salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Well, he's making an extremely point.
Yeah, excellent point. I guess the quality of your mind, affect how your body is going to be, but also the body, how you perceive your body is going to affect your whole self. I'll give an example. Okay. People hardly know that whatever you do, you are writing that information into your body, becomes a part of your DNA, and is going to be passed on to your offspring. If you drink a lot, if you smoke a lot, you are coding that information into yourself, and you're going to pass it on to your offspring. So people wonder, why my son did drink? Why? Maybe your grandfather drunk, your father. All the body has the information about how you live, but also what you have in your mind. So when you recognize that, then it is imperative that you treat yourself and your body well. Because, as I said, it's hardly taught in school, that awareness is hardly there. So people drink and get wild and they put all kinds of substance in the body. But if you recognize and you're conscious that you are also affecting your future generations. So whatever happened in the past, you could stop it. If your grandparents were diabetic, your parents diabetic, you could find different ways so that you do not pass whatever habits and information in your body to others.
What
you have
about
to try your best.
And it's important that you're talking about the genetics here, but what about psychologically? Because sometimes you innocently grow up and you're absorbing information, attitudes, behaviors from people around you.
Yes.
And those are not good behaviors, but they become embedded deeply because you've been hearing it and repeating it for over a long period of time.
Sometimes it goes from generation to generation, this negativity, the trauma that affect. That is what we need to heal in Belize City. We cannot be imposing more police to beat up people and traumatize them. We have not, as a society, sat down. There's the Ministry of Human Development, but dealing on a surface level. Families in our country need healing. And to heal families, we need to heal individuals. A lot of black men especially are broken. There's no emergency systems to find ways to have this like endangered youths. Therefore, funds, instead of finding amendments to the Constitution to go and brutalize them some more, we need to find the same emergency approach and energy to heal these men and families. A lot of resources are going to women and all that, which is okay, but
and to save the manatee and
to save the jaguar and the manatees,
but
and
nothing special about this.
There's a crisis level and a huge mental crisis among our young black families and men and women, and you pay money to bring them out for carnival and buy all of these things and feed them more liquor, and the people who are preying on these crises in society, all the liquor shops, those who produce rum and cigarettes and things that continue to destroy people. All of that needs to be addressed and looked at, and find a way to get families back on track, to heal individuals.
But what about
that? Is the resource
what about
that we need to
political
have.
people who are listening to you and saying,
I think they're trapped in their own greed and power. This needs emergency treatment for people to heal their minds and their bodies.
But Jerry, you know that there's some persons out there who consider themselves realists.
That's
and they're saying to themselves, Jerry's he's talking about a dream world. We're not there. How could we incorporate? He's got good ideas. I like his idea. But his idea is nice in a clustered area of intelligent people who can think, etc. How do you translate those good ideas, those heavenly ideas that Mr. Enriquez is talking about, down to the practical behavioral changes that we're trying to see among our people, particularly our young people?
I cannot see why it is a dream world where
you
instead of investing millions to go to Caracol, for example, to use in helping to uplift and to heal those broken within the city. Education system to giving practical skills, building institutions and activities to nurture self-esteem, music, sports. All of these things are destroyed. There's not investment sustained to heal our youth. So
what you're saying then, Brother Enriquez, is that the money allotted to certain other areas should be diverted and placed into, say, for example, teaching teachers.
Yes,
because if you teach teachers, that supposedly will go out and affect children.
If you train teachers in these different skills, mindfulness, in music, in other things.
So what you're going to be doing now is you're going to be upgrading these teachers. I remember about 30 years ago, the Ministry of Education wanted to upgrade our teachers, and they came up with this scheme out of North Florida, where a whole balloon explosion of teachers that suddenly became master's degree. Some of them couldn't write one paragraph, but they got master's degree out of North Florida, and clearly their increments went up because they were able to get more money because of increment. They were no more, but they got more increment going. I'm sorry to be talking like that, but I've dealt with someone who were getting a master's degree, and wow, master's degree from North Florida made many people puff up their chests that they were much better. But in terms of what they do with that, it wasn't much different than what they were doing without the degree. So I'm saying that to say that if you could have specialized program to bring up the educational level of these teachers for a bumper crop of master's degree, you could also create a system where you can take the skills that you have, put the necessary investment there, and capacitate these teachers so that when they go into the classroom, starting from preschool all the way through, you're reorienting our children to, instead of looking outside for solutions to their problem, teach them to orient looking inside. Let me give you a little joke where I learned, and I want you to come back. They were trying to figure out, and I think where was this? I don't think it was Japan, maybe it might have been Hong Kong. But the point is what is important here. The society decided that it wanted to do something about the stealing that they found going on among children, taking each other pencil, taking this, taking that, so on. So starting at a very young age of dishonesty, which they assume would grow when you get older. So they started to implement programs. And they started to implement a program that would teach children to be more giving. Rather than taking, to teach them and get them into the mode of giving and changing their mindset about property ownership and their mindset about for me this and for you, and teaching them sharing. Also, as you know, the Japanese have within their educational system, it's not me, it's we. And so by having these brought into the child's experience from very early, they have found that when these children receive or come to adolescence, that their behavior is drastically changed. So I hear you saying that if we invest the time, the effort, the resources in training teachers, putting them in the classroom, in 10 years, we could start seeing a new group of less conflict, less quarrelsome, less wrongance, and all these other issues that are holding back our development. Not because the money is not available, but because we fight with one another so much. We always the quarrel.
You mentioned an important point of teachers going and doing their masters and get qualified. But I want to say that intellectual achievement does not most often do not transfer into levels of awareness and consciousness. People have the highest attainment intellectually, but sometimes there's a deep emptiness. They cannot relate. They're stuck in their heads. In fact, sometimes they live in their heads.
Yes.
And but as you mentioned, there has to be even a new way of approach, as you mentioned, of nurturing those strong inner values that is often covered up by just the focus on academics. For example, in the United States, with all the achievements, the intellectual achievements and all of that, about 70% of the population live on prescription medication and climbing. Others have to depend on illicit drugs, cocaine and all of that, and alcohol, just to survive in this kind of a society with all its high achievement and all intellectual achievement. The society is sick and
so there's an emptiness in
emptiness, but also destroying others with no conscience, always looking for wars, always looking to engage, always and so is that the pattern we want to continue to follow, that path? So what is missing in all of this is that inner awareness that needs to be nurtured from young so that people could manage the ups and downs in life by themselves. They have the tools. Okay, I'm worrying, I don't need to worry because it is useless, for example. So they have this consciousness, this awareness, and this the absence of that awareness that is making people sick because they don't know how to deal with these challenges in life. Even when they have their intellectual achievement.
Yes.
So they cannot teach what they do not have. And so
that's an extremely important point.
My appeal is for a new way of
approach to this thing.
Of people learning how to manage their life and how to go inside of themselves. So
there is speaking about intellectuals, there's a thing in psychology called arrested development. So some people say they want to live. You're stuck. You can't go further. You're a brilliant man, but internally you're stuck. You can't go.
And they're stuck because they're just dependent on that body of knowledge that is handed to them. And a lot of first people, they become satisfied and even stop exploring other ways of learning.
When you say doctor,
why? So I don't have to learn anything more. So they get stuck in
Let me stop you here because do we need a next break? Let's take our next break, and then when we come back, we'll close off.
At Atlantic Bank, your convenience is our priority. Our contact center is designed to enhance your banking experience. With a wide range of customer service options, you save time and effort. You can easily call in to block or unblock your debit and credit cards, perform account inquiries, and access detailed card information. Whether you need assistance with online banking, merchant support, or general inquiries, our team is ready to help. For added convenience, if all operators are busy, you can leave your number and an operator will return your call as soon as possible to ensure you receive the support you need. Depending on your transaction type, we may need to verify your identity through a set of security questions. And remember, Atlantic Bank will never request your username or password for Atlantic Online via phone call, text, or email, ensuring your personal information remains safe and secure. Our support team is available Monday to Friday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. in both English and Spanish. Simply dial 223-1212. This is a dedicated line for our contact center, Atlantic Bank is committed to providing you with exceptional service and the tools you need to manage your finances conveniently and securely. Take full advantage of our easy-to-use contact center services today.
Atlantic Bank, building the future together.
Use B-Bucks to purchase items at any Benny's location. Spend B-Bucks on items in-store after you have earned them. You can give or transfer B-Bucks to another B-Bucks member or registered charity. To learn more, visit our website at www.bbucks.bz. Remember, loyalty is always rewarding with B-Bucks. Brought to you by Benny's. Quality and savings.
Here's how to access your contribution history on the My Social Security portal. First, go to your browser and type ssbportal.org.bz. Enter your email and password, then click Log In. Once logged in, you'll see your full portal account on the screen. On the left-hand side, you'll notice a drop-down menu for added features. Click on History. Choose Contributions. Read the disclaimer, then click Continue. You'll now see a full window displaying your contribution history. In the table, each row represents a different year. For example, let's look at the year 2024. Click on the row and a detailed breakdown will appear. This breakdown includes your employer's name, your earnings for each month and week, contribution type, the amounts paid, and that's how you can explore the new contribution feature on the My Social Security portal. It's quick, easy, and keeps your Social Security information right at your fingertips. Create your account today.
Nuestros billetes están cambiando, pero ¿por qué los actualizamos? El Banco Central evalúa continuamente la integridad de nuestros billetes para mantener la calidad y la seguridad. La serie anterior de billetes han estado en circulación por más del tiempo de vida recomendado, que es de 7 a 10 años. Los nuevos billetes integran medidas de seguridad mejoradas para combatir la falsificación, haciendo las transacciones más seguras para todos, dándoles la confianza de que su dinero es seguro y auténtico. Nuestro dinero debe ser tan fuerte como nuestra economía, y los nuevos billetes reflejan ese compromiso. Nueva imagen, mismo valor, más seguros. Para obtener más información, visite www.centralbank.org.bz. Un comunicado del Banco Central de Belice.
We have just enough time to thank our guest and get a final word from him before he leaves this morning. I want to thank him for whenever Jerry Enriquez comes to the studio and talks about mindfulness, there's a benefit that comes for those who listen and can appreciate. Because it's not something that you need to go somewhere to get, but something that you could get just simply by listening to what he's saying, the benefit that you get from it. Jerry, every time you come here, you open up another area. And so it's like an onion. It has a lot of layers to it. So I'll give you an opportunity to close off this layer.
Well, this morning, is, as you see, there's so much that we could have covered, and the time is always short. But let me leave this, folks. I conduct workshops at schools, the staff of organizations and all that, to look at ways in which people could interact more beneficially, to look at delving in giving practical skills to be able to manage the challenges in life. So I'm available if people want to reach me, to call 610-3849 to do workshops in these organizations. A lot of organizations that I work with have benefited from the techniques that they've learned. So that is available. But in the meantime, people could also research about mindfulness, the science behind it, how mindfulness affects the brain, heals the body, all the benefits for those who practice. So people could continue to find out about the benefits of mindfulness, because in these short programs there's so much that we could but the people could be proactive and go and look out for information. Many schools, organizations are now incorporating it, even like organizations or businesses like Apple, Google, because they find out that if their workers practice, the whole environment in the workplace changes from all of this bickering and all of this egotistical approach to trying to control and stifle creativity in the workplace. Those who practice, those who have the skill, and there's a transformation that happens in the organization. And so can it be in the schools if it is implemented, if teachers are aware of the practice and they are working with their students to impart that. And we will have a new generation by the time they finish primary school of deeply aware persons, and their interactions will be different. So traumatizing people more, those are just blind ways of dealing with our crisis situation. We need to find a proactive approach that will shift the mind state and have a new generation that will be for a better country, a better world. If one person is aware and conscious, it affects the family. One family is aware, conscious, it affects the community, and then that community affects the nation. So
indeed,
it starts with each individual at a time, working on dealing with those things within
All right, so if you want to get in contact with Jerry Enriquez, he can be reached at 610-3849, 610-3849.
jerry.enriquez@gmail.com.
All right, good. And we advise that you utilize his skills, whether it's in your classroom or your group. I believe that he should be doing these sessions at BDF. He should be doing it at
Which I've done. BDF, police.
And the police. It's very, very important. All right. Well, we've done our job for today. Thank you very much, Jerry. And let me thank those in the background who have been the real structure to bring us across as you're looking at us on TV and listening to us on radio. It would not be unless we had people like Larry Guerrero downstairs in the radio. Upstairs we had Christy Flowers as our MCO this morning, and holding on and trying to fill Mr. Cliff Lewis' shoes is Mr. Harlan Wagner. Like a lot of room in that shoes though, my brother. You know you can't fold that shoes. What you're doing a very, very good job, brother. You know, reel up with me directly. All right, so Belizeans, stand strong and stand firm. Do the right thing. For now, we're gone!
And all the things that I feel happen and I got blue skies. And nothing that people get victimized. Let's work together for better. We got to unite. Belize, yeah. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Another day is here. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. We got to keep moving. Na 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 na. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Everybody got to put their time in.